I'm your host, Jimmy Chen. Arrgh. Hello! Happy New Year! Did you see the graphic? You know, the graphic. Okay. I am Jimmy Chen, your host. The channel is Food for HNM, where we discuss all things Holy Bible. We're in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 13. The next section is titled, The Man of God from Judah. By the word of the Lord, a man of God came from Judah to Bethel as Jeroboam was standing by the altar to make an offering. By the word of the Lord, he cried out against the altar. Altar, altar. This is what the Lord says. A son named Josiah will be born to the house of David. On you he will sacrifice the priests of the high places who make offerings here, and human bones will be burned on you. That same day the man of God gave a sign. This is the sign the Lord has declared. The altar will be split apart, and the ashes on it will be poured out. That's gross. When human bones being burned on the altar. When King Jeroboam heard what the man of God cried out against the altar at Bethel, he stretched out his hand from the altar and said, "Seize him." But the hand he stretched out towards the man shriveled up, so that he could not pull it back. Can't pull it back. Also, the altar was split apart, and its ashes poured out, according to the sign given by the man of God, by the word of the Lord. Then the king said to the man of God, "Intercede with the Lord your God, and pray for me that my hand may be restored." So the man of God interceded with the Lord, and the king's hand was restored, and became as it was before. The king said to the man of God, "Come home with me for a meal, and I will give you a gift." But the man of God answered the king, "Even if you were to give me half of your possessions, I would not go with you, nor would I eat bread or drink water here." Okay, this is not what you think. Remember, someone named Joseph, he was sold into slavery by his brothers, and then he was sold as a slave in Egypt, and this person named Potiphar bought him. And then Potiphar's wife said that he tried to seduce her, so he got thrown in prison in Egypt. But he could interpret dreams. And then the Pharaoh, that's the king of Egypt, one day he just kept having these nightmares, these dreams. He said, "What does it mean? What does it mean?" And no one could tell him what it meant. Like all his top magicians and all his top wise men, like they just they would tell him what it means. "King, this is what it means." And then he's like, "You liar, I know that's not what it means." And then he just kept being bothered for years. And then finally someone remembered him. He said, "There's this guy Joseph. I told him my dream, and then he interpreted it, and it came true." And then so the king said, "Bring him before me." And the Pharaoh said, "Joseph, after Joseph did a good job, he told him what his dream meant. Joseph, I give you half my kingdom. So now you are in charge of Egypt. So I could be a lazy man, you know. You are the top ruler of Egypt, second only to me. So the man of God is saying to the king, even if you were to make me your number two, you know, and I run everything for you, you know, that's pretty good, you know, like you're a prophet, and then a king could put you in charge of everything, you know, the entire kingdom. He said, I will not go with you. For I was commanded by the word of the Lord, you must not eat bread or drink water, or return by the way you came. So he has to take a different road. Remember, there's a story of 3 wise men who were looking for a baby to give the baby a gift. And then the king knew that they came into his country, and he wanted to know, where's that baby? So, you know, I could kill him. And then the wise men said, no, you don't know where he is. And then they did not return. They took like a different route home, you know. So he took another road and did not return by the way he had come to Bethel. Now there was a certain old prophet living in Bethel, whose sons came and told him all that the man of God had done there that day. They also told their father what he had said to the king. Their father asked them, which way did he go? And his sons showed him which road the man of God from Judah had taken. So he said to his sons, saddle the donkey for me. And when they had saddled the donkey for him, he mounted it and rode after the man of God. He found him sitting under an oak tree and asked, are you the man of God who came from Judah? And I am, he replied. So the prophet said to him, come home with me and eat. The man of God said, I cannot turn back and go with you, nor can I eat bread or drink water with you in this place. I have been told by the word of the Lord. So remember, the word of the Lord is usually like Jesus, because he's known as the Word, and his Kadosh Malakim, you know. And you ask me, Jimmy, why is it always the Son of God and Kadosh Malakim? Because you have to remember, he's like a leader, you know. He's the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. So he has like he has a lot of people with him. You know, whenever these royal guys went anywhere, they didn't go by themselves. They're always like, they brought like their wives with them, and then like their kids are in the back, you know, in these chariots, and in front there's like, you know, guards, and then in front of those guards there's like people marching, you know, and then behind to protect them from behind, you know. So not that the Son of God needs to be protected, but that's the way I understand it, you know. He's the strongest one, so, you know, he doesn't need to be protected, but he doesn't really go anywhere by himself. He just has, you know, when kings go somewhere, they have these like large group of people with them. So it's always the Son of God, the Lord, and the Kadosh Malakim. So the word of the Lord is like both. I have been told by the Lord and the Kadosh Malakim, the word of the Lord. But remember, there's the word of the Lord power. know what I mean? In order to meet, to take audience, in order to because remember he's a king, so these prophets, the man of God is a prophet. He's a higher prophet than the prophet that invited them to eat. Sometimes prophet just hears God and you don't hear him, and you think he's nuts. King of Heavenly Father, God's like, prophet, and the man of God's like, yes, Lord, and he's looking around, kneel, and then they might hear all this stuff like crowds of people, prophet, that's the word of the Lord, and then he looks and he can actually kind of see something like a throne, and seated on the throne is a figure shining brighter than the sun, and he's like, my Lord. And then you kind of see all these armies there, the word of the Lord. You could see and you could hear. You must not eat bread or drink water there, or return by the way you came. The old prophet answered, I too am a prophet, as you are. And an angel said to me, by the word of the Lord, bring him back with you to your house, so that he may eat bread and drink water. But he was lying to him. So the man of God returned with him and ate and drank in his house. While they were sitting at the table, the word of the Lord came to the old prophet who had brought him back. He cried out to the man of God who had come from Judah, this is what the Lord says. You have defied the word of the Lord and have not kept the command the Lord your God gave you. You came back and ate bread and drank water in the place where he told you not to eat or drink. Therefore your body will not be buried in the tomb of your ancestors. When the man of God had finished eating and drinking, the prophet who had brought him back saddled his donkey for him. As he went on his way, a lion met him on the road and killed him, and his body was left lying on the roadside, lying on the road with both the donkey and the lion standing beside it. Some people who passed by saw the body lying there with the lion standing beside the body, and they went and reported it in the city where the old prophet lived. When the prophet who had brought him back from his journey heard of it, he said, it is the man of God who defied the word of the Lord. The Lord has given him over to the lion, which has mauled him and killed him, as the word of the Lord had warned him. The prophet said to his sons, saddle the donkey for me, and they did so. Then he went out and found the body lying on the road, with the donkey and the lion standing beside it. The lion had neither eaten the body nor mauled the donkey. So the prophet picked up the body of the man of God, laid it on the donkey, and brought it back to his own city to mourn for him and bury him. Then he laid the body in his own tomb, and they mourned over him and said, alas, my brother, alas. After burying him, he said to his sons, when I die, bury me in the grave where the man of God is buried. lay my bones beside his bones. For the message he declared by the word of the Lord against the altar in Bethel and against all the shrines. On the high places in the towns of Samaria will certainly come true. Even after this, Jeroboam did not change his evil ways, but once more appointed priests for the high places from all sorts of people. Anyone who wanted to become a priest, he consecrated for the high places. Remember, they have to be Levites. Priests have to be Levites. This was the sin of the house of Jeroboam that led to its downfall and to its destruction from the face of the earth. So, what happened? Maybe a strategy. We got the man of God being buried in, he's not in Judah, He's buried in Israel. And we can see that the man of God went in to prophesy that one day there will be a king named Josiah, a descendant of King David. First Kings chapter 14. The next section is titled Ahijah's prophecy against Jeroboam. At that time, Ahijah, son of Jeroboam, became ill, and Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go disguise yourself so you won't be recognized as the wife of Jeroboam. So you won't. No one knows that you're my wife. Then go to Shiloh. Ahijah the prophet is there, the one who told me I would be king over this people. Take 10 loaves of bread with you, some cakes, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy." So Jeroboam's wife did what he said and went to Ahijah's house in Shiloh. Now Ahijah could not see. His sight was gone because of his age. But the Lord had told Ahijah, "Jeroboam's wife is coming to ask you about her son, for he is ill, and you are to give her such and such an answer. When she arrives, she will pretend to be someone else." So when Ahijah heard the sound of her footsteps at the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why this pretense? I have been sent to you with bad news." Go tell Jeroboam that this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people Israel. I tore the kingdom away from the kingdom of the house of David. So I raised you up from among the people and appointed you ruler over my people. I tore the kingdom away from the house of David and gave it. Gave it to you, but you have not been like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only what was right in my eyes. You have done more evil than all who lived before you. You have made for yourself other gods, idols, made of metal. You have aroused my anger and turned your back on me. Because of this, I am going to bring disaster on the house of Jeroboam. I will cut off, and he stinks. I will cut off from Jeroboam every last male in Israel, slave or free. I will burn up the house of Jeroboam as one burns dung, until it is all gone. Dogs will eat those belonging to Jeroboam who die in the city, and the birds will feed on those who die in the country. The Lord has spoken. As for you, go back home. When you set foot in your city, the boy will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He is the only one belonging to Jeroboam who will be buried, because he is the only one in the house of Jeroboam in whom the Lord, the God of Israel, has found anything good. The Lord will raise up for himself a king over Israel who will cut off the family of Jeroboam. Even now, this is beginning to happen. And the Lord will strike Israel, so that it will be like a reed swaying in the water. He will uproot Israel from this good land that he gave to their ancestors, and scatter them beyond the Euphrates River, because they aroused the Lord's anger by making Asherah poles, and he will give Israel up because of the sins Jeroboam has committed and has caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and left and went to Tirzah. As soon as she stepped over the threshold of the house, the boy died. They buried him, and all Israel mourned for him, as the Lord had said through his servant, the prophet Ahijah. The other events of Jeroboam's reign, his wars, and how he ruled are written in the book of the annals of the kings of Israel. He reigned for 22 years and then rested with his ancestors. And Nadab, his son, succeeded him as king. The next section is titled Rehoboam, king of Judah. Rehoboam, son of Solomon, was king in Judah. He was 41 years old. That's 4-1 when he became, no, he's not 4'1". He is 41 years old. He was 41 years old when he became king, and he reigned 17 years in Jerusalem, the city the Lord had chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, in which to put his name. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite. Judah did evil. Judah did evil. Did evil in the eyes of the Lord. By the sins they committed, they stirred up his jealous anger more than those who were before them had done. They also set up for themselves high places, sacred stones, and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every spreading tree. There were even male shrine prostitutes in the land. The people engaged in all the detestable practices of the nations the Lord had driven out before the Israelites. In the 5th year of King Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, attacked Jerusalem. He carried off the treasures of the temple of the Lord and the treasures of the royal palace. Oh. So Shishak actually dared to attack the temple. He took everything, including all the gold shields Solomon had made. So King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and assigned these to the commanders of the guard on duty at the entrance to the royal palace. Whenever the king went to the Lord's temple, the guards bore the shields, and afterward they returned them to the guard room. As for the other events of Rehoboam's reign and all he did, are they not written in the book of the annals of the kings of Judah? There was continual warfare between Rehoboam and Jeroboam, and Rehoboam rested with his ancestors and was buried with them in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah. She was an Ammonite. And Abijah, Abijah. Remember, the prophet is Ahijah. And Rehoboam, King Rehoboam's son's name is Abijah. So Abijah, his son, succeeded him as king. Thank you for listening. I hope that was educational. So at this point, remember, Rehoboam is Solomon's son. And the kingdom that was unified by King David, that is Rehoboam's grandfather, is now split in two. It seems like, remember when these guys who are called Israelites, all of them are considered they're all Israelites. They're all one people, but Israel is in the north and Judah is in the south. But they are both Israelites that live in, they're Israelites up there and they're Israelites down there. Now, Israelites promised, they have this deal with the Lord that they will not worship anyone other than the Lord. So it looks like Israel, they started it. They started worshiping other gods, breaking their covenant. King Solomon, his wives, got him to create they're called high places. Remember there are these goddess called Ashtaroth. They're all fake gods, You just imagine them up, There's a guy named Chemosh and Molech. But their priests would make you do really horrible things, So Israel is full of it's not a nice place to live. Remember I mentioned that Molech's priests would make you kill your own children and then burn them in the fire. So that's kind of awful, So more of that was going on in Israel than in Judah. And then now we see that it's starting to happen in Judah. So remember Ahijah, the man of God, Ahijah is the one that told King Jeroboam that he would rule Israel. Now, the man of God, his prophecy is that one day there would be someone named Josiah. And he would take these fake priests, these priests of Ashtoreth and Chemosh and Molech, and kill them and burn them on the altar. Remember, keep God first. He'll take your places.